Vikings have been around since 1961. And I just want them to win a damn Super Bowl before I die. Welcome to Before I Die with Jesse and Miles on Purple Daily and Score North.
Just one before we die on a victory Tuesday, you guys. Your Minnesota Vikings 12-2 after a 30-12 victory at home against the Bears. The Vikings control their own destiny, if you will, tied atop the North with Detroit. We'd love to see that. Now, correct, Miles, how does the tiebreaker work? You are kind of an in-know guy, and of course, Ross, if you know as well, please jump in. But I will admit that it confuses me a little bit. Explain the tiebreaker down, because Detroit technically, since they beat Minnesota, right, like that goes into account.
Yes.
But how does it?
But obviously they have to play each other again.
Right.
That really will be the determining factor if they have a tie record. Obviously, it starts with record. Whoever has the best record, if there's a difference between the records, whoever has the better record will win that tiebreaker. Then it goes down to head-to-head. And so if the Lions sweep the Vikings in this case, they would then own that tiebreaker. If the vice versa, if it goes if you split, then I think it goes divisional record after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
This is kind of one of those, I was told there would be no math, but as far as the as far as the NFC North goes, the easiest way to look at this, and I know a lot of people, this was going around Ventline last night, the easiest way to look at it is if either team is within one game of each other for the NFC North, then it's just basically the winner of the NFC North will be the winner of that football game, if that makes any sense.
That January 5 game was already going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be real. You got to flex that, right? You got to make that a Sunday
I'm
night
surprised
game.
they didn't flex the Packers game, too.
Well, that game,
But
there's been
that
talk on that. That game may be protected by Fox, and they don't always tell us which games are protected.
That's
I think that
fair. I
actually
could see
came out this week, though, and I didn't look into that. As far as the NFC goes, I was doing some research. It could come down to, let's just say the Vikings and Eagles had the same record. Let's hope that the Vikings and Eagles are blessed to be in that situation. It could come down to, believe it or not, the fourth tiebreaker. That's what it looks like it could come down to at this moment. The fourth tiebreaker is winning percentage of your opponents.
Oh, okay.
Which right now the Eagles have the edge in. That could change over the next 3 weeks because the Vikings play 3 teams with winning records. So I think the easiest way to answer this question is just keep winning, and it all becomes a lot more clearer week by week. That's what I have for you.
But to answer your question, Jesse, I think if we just keep it to the Lions within the division first, it would be obviously record first, then it goes head-to-head, and then it goes divisional record.
Okay.
So those are the 3 things to focus on if they have the same record.
That's fair. Just win. That's all you got to do is win.
If the Vikings win out, they should win the division.
Did you see that Nick Swardson, and Nick Swardson, some things are hilarious from him, others. He had predicted they would go 15-2.
And it's alive.
I didn't watch the clip. But was that just being him like a fanboy, like one of those Homer type takes?
Yeah,
right?
probably.
And that's why it's so hard to victory lap some of those. But he did say it, and if they do it, good on him.
I look at it this way. If you go 15-2 and you get the number 1 seed, that's great. If you end up going 15-2 and you're only the 2 seed, I think in this year you still have to look at that as incredibly positive because you didn't expect to even be there. It's annoying, but to be 15-2, have the 2 seed, get at least 1 home game, likely 2 if you win the first round, and who knows at that point, maybe the number 1 seed is lost and you're hosting an NFC Championship game. We've now talked about this for about a month, Jesse and Miles. I just think it's incredible that we're this far into the season and we're talking about things like winning a division. Can they get the 1 seed? Can they have home field advantage? What does the 2 seed look like? If they're the 5 seed, are they good enough to maybe win 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl? I think we should consider ourselves blessed this holiday season that this is what we are talking about on December 17th.
But Miles, you were up there with your prediction as well, and I thought you were crazy. But what did you predict? Did you predict 12? 11?
It was 11. I think 11, if I'm not mistaken. It was
so you were wrong.
I was wrong. I was. My prediction was just like I said, like the Vikings could like any random year with any random quarterback, and
Yeah, I'll do it. That's sports, fan. That's what we love. That's sports, baby. That's
yes.
football. That's Vikings football for you. Doing it with a random what? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick about the Lions thing is like 2 weeks ago I was like, oh, the Lions had the division unlocked. Even with the Vikings winning games and having a lot of wins, I was like, it just felt like the Lions had the division unlocked. With their injuries, obviously the loss to the Bills,
slaughtered in the injury department right now.
It's definitely now obviously the same record too, but like it's definitely one of those like you'd put the edge to the Vikings right now.
Wouldn't it be something if the Vikings could win at Seattle, at home against Green Bay, and somehow, some way Detroit loses 2 more games in a row and the division is wrapped up heading into Week 18? Doesn't mean you wouldn't still be playing for maybe the number 1 seed, but that would be to me, that's the delight scenario, to go into Detroit knowing you don't have to win the game. Now, how likely is that? I don't know. I know Detroit they're at San Francisco. That is a little tricky, but also, hey, Pup, also San Francisco clearly they're not who we thought they were. So
Amazon
who knows?
out there making deliveries at Miles' house, just like Darnold was making deliveries to JJ in the end zone. We love to see that. That was a good one. Ugly game overall, you guys. Not the best game. If a win is a win. We love winning. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But still, Darnold went 24 of 40 for 231 yards and a touchdown. There was that pick that we don't need to really rehash necessarily. The only thing, even too, with Justin Jefferson's dropped ball, I do want to talk about that. It almost looked like he was so ready to hit the gritty that's why he dropped it, right? Like, was that me just watching that a little bit? Like, I was watching, like, no. He thought he was in. He thought it was a go, no big deal. And I love Jets, right? We love his attitude, his mantra, his shout out to Randy Moss as well. Vikings doing a great job honoring Moss and his fight, or won his victory against cancer, I guess, at this point. But yeah, I have a question about that Jets drop. That's not something we're too accustomed to seeing.
No, that's exactly what he was doing. The
right?
ball was thrown perfectly, and before he fully catches it, he looks upfield ready to just turn and go. And it's just one of those situations where you look upfield before you fully catch the ball, and he ends up dropping probably his worst drop of his career so far in the NFL, I would say, if I'm like top of mind, right? Yeah. And that, what's crazy is that changes Sam Darnold's entire outcome of his stats. He doesn't. I can't say he wouldn't have thrown an interception later if that outcome happened, but that was the same drive he threw an interception on. Yep. So it is funny how like the tide turns. Like you look at the box score and you're like, oh, Darnold had an okay game, threw a lot of passes. Not the completion percentage was like 50%. Blah blah blah. Maybe a little bit more than that, but blah blah blah. And only had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but it could have been 2 touchdowns, 250 yards, and no interceptions, right? Like, it's kind of funny how that one play can change the dynamic of kind of the rest of the box score.
Right.
Even for the best players in the world, because we're humans and you're playing an imperfect game, they're going to make mistakes. There'll be drops. Things will happen. No. It's not an issue with Justin.
I want machines. This is unacceptable.
Yes. Not an issue with Justin Jefferson until it becomes an issue. Like, it's just whatever. It's a bad drop. It happens. Now, if you start doing it again a couple times in Seattle, okay, maybe it's a little bit of an Aaron Jones fumbling issue. But until it happens with regularity, to me, it's just kind of what the bleep was that moment? It's not really indicative of anything.
I think they said how many. I don't know how many he's got probably over 130 targets on the year. He has 3 drops.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you just look at that percentage, though, that's crazy. Like when
Trade
you get the ball
rid
from
of him. It's fine.
Yeah, get rid of him. Awful.
Terrible.
3 drops.
Who
What?
wants that? Yeah, I want 0 drops on my team.
Right.
Come on now. Just kidding, guy. It's a joke. All right, let's calm down. I could just see people enraged. Like, this girl doesn't know football. Speaking of good games, though, Aaron Jones, I love. And I don't know if I've heard this, and maybe you guys have heard it before. He calls it the bank vault instead of the Lambeau leap. Like if he were to jump, I like that. I like that a lot. The bank vault.
I would like it more if he could actually get all the way up there.
How high that is, though?
That's very high.
Like, that looks really high. I'm like...
That's probably, 12 feet? I don't know what that is. Maybe even more. Although the pose for the camera was kind of cool. As he's kind of holding on. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's some serious arm strength. I can't do that. I can barely do a monkey bars at this point in my life. But all of that, suffice to say, 7 different players catching passes last night, which is a very telltale sign of a comfortable quarterback in Sam Darnold. How much do you think that speaks about not only where Sam Darnold feels about his game, but his trust and his trust. I guess trust. I don't need another word. I can just say trust. His trust in the offensive system that they're running.
I mean, he looks so comfortable. I think that last night was an off game for him. We won't lie about that. His completion percentage was low versus what it's normally been all year. He missed some easy throws. He just kind of looked off. I don't know if it's the hand issue going on. I know he hit his hand on a helmet. Plus, he's got his pinky wrapped. So some of those things look like they might have had an impact. He also just didn't look like he was fully seeing the field as well as he normally does, which is okay. Like sometimes you have those games, but overall he managed the game to a point where they did what they needed to do to win the game. Like, it wasn't anything more than that. It wasn't obviously the Falcons game last week where he throws for 5 touchdowns, looked flawless. This week it was just one of those like up and down type weeks, but doing enough, especially on 3rd and longs, where I think that's where the trust comes from KOC to be like, hey, we're in 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, and we're still going to let Darnold throw the ball down the field and have trust in him, and Darnold having trust in like his receivers to make those plays. And they converted. I don't know that should probably pull that up, but like I know they converted at least 3, if I'm not mistaken, like 3rd and longs. Like that's really hard to do, and that's how you win games. That's how you like sustain drives. That's how you get points. Right? Is the longer the plays and the more drives, the more first downs. Excuse me. The more opportunity you have for a higher success of scoring points. So I thought that in itself was very indicative of he was off, but he did enough in key situations to win the football game last night.
A couple things on Sam really quickly. He's never started more than 13 games in a season until last night when he hit 14. So props to him. That's good on him.
Oh, he's tired. That's what it is. That's what it was last night. He's
there
exhausted.
There you go. Good excuse. Good way to make him feel better about the effort. Also, he's never thrown, and I know this happened 3-4 weeks ago, but he's never thrown more than 19 touchdown passes in a season until this year. So again, good for him. And Jesse, I'll echo what you said, talking about like the trust of his other players. I think some of it too is just a belief. He believes in the team. He believes in the system. He believes in the other players on the field. Because as we've talked about ad nauseum, he's never been in a situation like this before. It's got to be nice for him to scan the field and go, oh, Justin Jefferson isn't open. Oh, but we also have this receiver who could be a number 1 on a lot of other teams named Jordan Addison. Oh, Jordan Addison isn't even open. We have this number 1 tight end named TJ Hawkinson. Oh, none of those guys are open. I can check down to this running back who's going to make a guy miss and get 7 yards. You know, there's just options for him that he's never had before. And I think that alone makes him obviously a better quarterback. And we've seen it all year long now, except for a couple games. But let's be honest, every quarterback throughout a year, maybe the lows aren't as low as we saw with Sam Darnold, but every quarterback has a clunker or two where you go, what was that? He's no different from any other quarterback in that regard.
I felt bad because it felt kind of like Caleb Williams gave up a little bit yesterday because he is a quarterback, right? Like you could see that. So speaking of quarterback, I'm not a Bears fan. Again, don't take that for what it is. I'm just saying it seemed like he definitely.
We've established you're a Packers fan. We know you're not a Bears fan.
Always. Probably a Lions. Maybe more of a Lions. I think I could really, me and Eminem hanging out in a suite watching the Lions. Sounds like a great
Vanilla Ice last night.
I did hear Vanilla Ice was he was the guy, right? And he was, we love it. You know what I think though? What? Go ahead, Ross. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I thought I was there in person. I thought the 3-song set that lasted about 4.5 minutes was brilliant. I mean, it was just,
that's all you need.
It was a where you were moment if you happen to be in the stadium.
I'm trying to get paid that much for 5 minutes of work. So
yeah, same.
The process of these shows always crack me up. That stage was wheeled out and set up within about 45 seconds. Then he just emerges from behind the stage, walks up the stairs, does his little thing, and immediately just walks off stage and waves everybody. And he was probably at the airport before the game even ended.
Brilliant. We love it. You know what I think? I think Ryan Wright probably should have called Nicolette Law last night after getting popped on that punt. I'm sorry. That was kind of hilarious. He kicked himself in the face. Like that had to not have felt great. But that was my segue into our Nicolette Law read. I know they don't. Oh God.
I see what you did there. That was not as good as your segue earlier, but I did appreciate it. I'm going to give you a passing grade. That's like a B minus, a B.
Okay.
You okay with that?
The Vikings game last night.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's sustainable. All right, go ahead.
It was a workman-like performance. They got done what they needed to get done, as did Jesse with the transition. Yes, a quick shout out to the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily, Ryan Wright. Listen up and take note. That is Nicolay Law. Nicolay Law knows that when you or a loved one gets injured, ordinary life comes to a stop, and we don't want that. Things can get complicated. That's where the folks at Nicolay Law come in. They're just your everyday normal folks. You hear us talking about it each and every week on Before I Die. The ones you see at the gas station, walking the dog, maybe you're standing in line getting coffee with them in the morning. They're here to make sure you get the compensation you deserve right after an accident. If you've been injured, get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers. Get Nicolay. Start your path to winning at nicolaylaw.com. That is nicolaylaw.com. Or give them a call at 855-NICOLET.
Time now for the Before I Die crew.
We'll do that one again.
Comments from YouTube.
Thank you very much. I will take my helmet off and let the backup quarterback come in.
Look like Caleb Williams. You're already caving it in for the year.
Yeah.
Comment. You guys don't know how difficult my job is, all right? I got to get yelled at prima donnas like you guys all day long and press buttons. It's so difficult. Comment number 1 comes from the appropriately timed, or we'll call this category, the last name here. I just had to pull the comment no matter what he said. Peter Kringle. Little Kris Kringle holiday reference. Thank you very much.
I like it.
Peter Kringle says, never heard of him. I honestly really loved the Darnold interception. It was 4th down and he was in trouble, so he threw a jump ball into traffic towards his best receiver, which ended up gaining us a few yards of field position. My question to you with my own personal comment, good take by Peter or great take? Because I don't think enough people took note of that. He was about to get sacked and just said, bleep it. I'll throw it where my best receiver is. If it's intercepted, as long as they don't have a big return, nothing's lost. In the moment and fast thinking, I think that is 100% what he was attempting to do when he knew he needed to get rid of it.
Hated it. Jeez. Well, and Hawk was right there too, wasn't he? If I remember,
Yes.
like they keep, like you had Hawkinson as well. So I mean, the thought process there isn't terrible. Ross needs a moment.
My fault. That was my fault. Thought I muted.
Were we indulging in maybe a Diet Coke?
No,
Dr.
just
Pepper?
a coffee. It's a coffee. I'm tired. I've been up.
Better out than in, I say.
Yeah, I usually mute those though. I apologize.
It's it's okay. We're all human. It just caught me off guard. Was very
The little
pronounced.
things Ross needed that today.
Good or great take?
It felt good.
Miles?
It felt good though. It was great, like that burp.
Yeah.
No, it was a good. It's a really good. It's a great take. I think the one key thing there is you want to make sure that on 4th down you have to give somebody a chance. And that's the whole thing, is because it's a do or die down. It's not a, and it's one of those situations. If you throw it up, maybe a pass interference, maybe a penalty happens. Maybe your guy comes down with it. The worst case scenario in that situation is not the intercept. It's only bad interception if they return it for a touchdown or have a big return. It's not a bad situation if you're in their territory and you basically, like you said in the commenter said, Kringle said, they got better positioning, right? And that to me is like the best case scenario, or not best case scenario, but like the best of the worst case scenarios.
Yeah.
In that moment, that's as good as you can do. And I also love that you referred to him as Kringle.
I forgot the first name, so I just figured I'd go Kringle.
No,
tis the season for Kris Kringle, so Peter Kringle will hereby be known as Kringle. Comment number 2 comes from Brigetti Kirby, who says, besides Darnold, O'Neal is our second most valuable player. My question to you two, and I will start with Miles, in order. Rank your 3 most valuable Vikings right now.
Kevin O'Connell.
I think you're going with that though.
That counts.
Non-player wise, obviously we know it's Kevin O'Connell, but I think coach is obviously such an important factor in everything. So, like if we're really doing it, I would say Kevin O'Connell. But in terms of like player only, Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold, Brian O'Neill, Jonathan Grenard, Christian Darrisaw's hurt, so I don't want to obviously count him because he's out. But I think there's like a Justin Jefferson, Darnold, O'Neal, Grenard are like my top 4.
See, I put Grenard over O'Neal. Mine is the same as
I'm
yours,
okay with
except
that.
I'm going
And
Grenard over O'Neal.
And I'm okay with that too, by the way. I can get on board. That was the 2 I was like, which one? I just think O'Neal's also had like a really good season in a similar way that Grenard has, especially with Christian Darrisaw going down. There's more pressure on O'Neal to perform.
And to
so when
stick
he
it
got
out
hurt
yesterday.
Yeah,
like,
that was very impressive.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we're all struggling to come up with what the top 3 is, that's what we like to call a good sign.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
I was really hoping that, Jesse, you would just shred Miles apart and be like, wrong, wrong,
It's
wrong.
the Christmas season. It's the Christmas
Here's my
season.
top
I'll give it
3.
to 'em.
Do you guys,
Jordan
do you guys-
Addison. No.
do you guys want one more?
Yeah.
Well, Jesse, is
Okay.
that your order too? Are you in that like a
That was.
yeah,
I
I
was
guess-
going to say
yeah,
Jets,
fair point.
Darnold, but then Grenard for sure. Like, I locked him in. I'm
Yeah,
just,
that's
he's
fair.
fun to watch. I really
is.
like watching. He's a lot of fun to watch.
Our outside linebackers in that group, and then like Blake Cashman and an inside linebacker, like that group is so fun.
Yeah.
Like even Dallas Turner yesterday.
And
that
Dallas
bend
Turner
for that-
yesterday. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's about time. That was like it was one like he had a free sack in the first week, but like this one yesterday, that was one of those like wow plays. You're like, oh, okay, like that's why they drafted that dude. And they traded
Yeah.
up. They traded everything they did to go get him. So I love
Well, I
it.
mean, you get a splash play out of him, and then how good of a sign that is heading into the playoffs, right? Like
Yes.
to get him
Yep.
all of a sudden, I love it. I'm in. I'm
Yeah.
all for that. But yeah, Grenard, I like him. I like the guy.
Derek, I like the guy. Derek RG says, the unis were bleep. Don't wear those again. So my thoughts before I get to the question from sitting inside US Bank Stadium, lower level,
Oh,
I kind of thought they
Fancy.
looked like Penn State or the Colts.
Jesus.
Like they kind of looked like the Colts uniforms. I'm saying lower level just for vantage point. They looked like the Colts uniforms minus
And
the Colt
just
on the
for,
helmet.
In case you were wondering, Ross
just-
makes big
had to
bucks
let
over
everybody
there.
know.
I
Yeah.
just, yeah.
I did not pay for this ticket, and it came from a Chicago Bears fan. So I had to endure that, or he had to endure that at least for the entire night. The question here is, let's hear your thoughts. Yay or nay on the whiteouts? Personally, I say launch them into the sun.
It's so funny to me. I in any sport, I'm not a big like uni snob necessarily. Like there are certain ones I'm like, oh, that looks terrible, but I'm not a huge snob. I didn't hate it. The animosity toward the white helmet, which was the first time the Vikings have ever done a white helmet, to my understanding, correct? I don't. It's not bad. Like, would you have liked it better, Ross, if they had the purple helmets? Like, would that have made a difference?
You know,
Wasn't it purple on the jerseys to have a purple helmet. I don't think.
I don't know what
Yeah, that's
would have
true,
made
too.
the difference. I generally think the Vikings have really good uniforms combos. So I just thought these ones were maybe a
It's all
bit.
about that merchandising money, baby. You get
Yeah,
all
I
that
know, and-
going.
And I'll admit, I did not give in. I don't own anything Vikings that's white, so I wore my Purple Daily Ugly Christmas sweater and got some comments on it. So that's what I did. I will not give in to your societal norms. If you want me to wear a white shirt, you put one on my chair when I sit down. I'm not paying for that.
I don't mind whiteouts. I don't mind. I mean, and everybody's like, well, it's a Penn State thing. I'm like, who cares? Like, I don't think anybody can take ownership over the whiteouts. I believe I whined about this on this show, if not this on Judd's Hockey Show, because
Didn't the
Winnipeg
Wolves-
Jets fans get
Oh,
really
yeah.
mad. They got mad that the Wild did a whiteout earlier this year because they think it's theirs. And like, you can't trademark this. Not to mention, it's not that bad. I love when the teams go all black, all matte black. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's so sharp, even if it's not in your color scheme. I know.
You
Ross.
and I are
know.
going to fight over this. I think it's
Uh-oh.
I
love
used
it.
to be very agnostic towards your favorite university, and now I hope they lose every game by 50 points.
Oh no, it's so good. They're not losing the
It's-
Pop-Tart Bowl, baby. God, I'm so
It's
excited about
not
the
even
Pop-Tart.
that they wear black uniforms, Jesse. It's that they do it for like 60% of their games. It's
'Cause it
not
looks
your
better
color
than
scheme.
red and yellow.
Stop it.
It looks better
Stop
than
it.
cardinal
No.
and gold.
I don't disagree with your take there, Ross.
Then
No.
change your official color scheme and just say it's black and white and always wear them.
It's not. It's like a charcoal gray sometimes.
It's dreadful and you should disown it.
I won't. I love it. I love it. I think.
Also,
it's
did
sharp.
we talk about the new Pop-Tarts Bowl trophy?
Oh, how you could put a Pop-Tarts in there and
Yes.
actually toast it. Brilliant. God,
That
that's
bowl-
so good.
That bowl gets it.
I
Them
love
and the
supposed to
Mayo
be,
Bowl,
yeah.
they get it. That's what
Yes.
these non-playoff bowl games should be. They should be fun.
I love it. I explained it to Marc-Andre Fleury today, actually, in fact, because
Did you really?
he was like, "What are you
Look at
talking
you both
about?"
in your humble brags right now.
I'm proud you know who that was, though, Miles, too. Legend.
Of course I know who
Anyway,
that is.
do you like the white jerseys, Miles?
They were okay. I think it's one of those situations like do it once and don't ever do it again. Like I'm good. I don't need to see it again.
That was the nicest way Miles will say he didn't like something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not that I'm okay with the variation at times. Like I like that college does that more often too. I like the variation at times. I don't like it always has to be the same thing every single time, every week. No, I'm cool with like the all white, especially with them doing I was at the whiteout game 2 years ago, and they obviously just wore their like regular jerseys, white pants, white tops, and their purple helmets. So I like that they like created an event for this. Like they created uniforms for this event. I was good with that. But I don't really care for it. I wasn't going to go buy like this specific jersey. I'm good on that. If I was going to get a jersey or anything, but no, like I don't need to see it again though. I think this is cool. I'm good with it now. You know, one time.
Miles
thing.
hates it. It's fine.
Not that far.
Miles, I'm going to make an elected official out of you. You really tap danced around that question and did a really good job. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Hey, let's hammer home
corporate
some.
life.
Yeah, you get it. I mean, in a way, corporate life is politics. So you get it.
Yeah.
All right, let's close with this if you guys don't mind.
Time now for the Before I Die crew to give us their Before I Dies.
All right, Miles, please kick us off this week.
Let me. So I saw some comments last week that I did not mean to say that because I know last week I had mentioned the fact that like the working between like now and the new year type of thing. I didn't mean to say other people's jobs aren't necessary or like I value and I'm very empathetic to people that do have to work, the people that like are in situations that they don't have like the work flexibility, they have to work. So I just wanted to say that I respect the hell out of those people. So
Didn't you already give this disclaimer last week? You don't owe people another apology.
that's just me. You know, I like to be an empathetic person toward people. I really do. Like, because I know that there are a lot of people like I like to play that. You know, it's not just about being like, yeah. So, anyways.
Meanwhile, I'm over here. Screw the haters. Negative Dave.
Right? Screw the haters.
Dave are fighting
no,
now,
I can be a negative. I can be a down I can jump down throws. You heard me last week talking about Kurt. But my dog. Oh, you'll be all right.
I forgot about negative Dave, by the way.
He was mean to me this week. We're fighting with him.
Okay.
He was insulting. It wasn't just mean. It was insulting out of nowhere.
I'm all for the bit. I'm all for the bit until you're actually taking personal attacks at people, which he likes to do, and I think that's dumb.
He doesn't follow us. He doesn't do anything. And basically, he called me fat, which, again, not a surprise there. Like, low-hanging fruit. But it was out of nowhere for no reason. Yeah. And I was like,
wait, who's
dude.
Negative Dave?
First off, you're not, and I'm also sure Negative Dave has a lot going on in his life that he's not proud of, so.
I sent him a message. I was just like, you know what? I actually usually think you're pretty funny, but that was kind of hurtful. Have a great Christmas. That was all. I was going through the emotions of it.
Good for you.
Thank you.
That's just not cool. I'm not a big fan of like cheap shotting people ever.
Yeah, like be clever. Let's be original. And he came after my post game Taco Bell. More importantly, and I was like, please, we're not stopping the post game Taco Bell.
More importantly,
like that's not changing.
Whoa, that's too far. All right,
that's a bridge too far.
Lines here. All right, Dave. Well, come on now.
I'm trying to get out of this before I die so bad. Before I die, this one is just more of like I just hope everyone has a great holidays. You know, whatever you celebrate, whether who you're with, like how you spend it. Yeah, I just want everybody to have a great holiday because I know how it can be a tough time of year too. Like it's tough on me. Like you don't always try to show up, but like being vulnerable here. Like I have tough times this time of year. It's just harder for me. You know that seasonal depression hits all the stuff you get in your own head. Like, am I doing enough for my family? All that stuff, right? Like so. I just want to say, like, I hope everyone has a great holidays.
I love it.
I'm going to go let my dog out real quick. I can listen to everybody, by the way.
I love that. And my strong suspicion is that you are doing enough and everything you possibly can for your family.
Well,
Miles, I hope you heard that. Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
Who's next, Jesse? Is it you or I?
It's you. I wrap her up, babe.
Okay. I like that. So I was thinking kind of about this last night. And I know the Twins kind of do this where they have some grab-and-go markets or some, I don't know, what do you call them? They're family budget-conscious sections with food. I don't know what you call that, but value stands, whatever they call it at Target
Okay.
Field.
Yeah. Okay.
I think, and I'm actually kind of a less government guy, believe it or not to get political, but I do think we should start telling some of these teams, and I get it, if you want something, you'll pay for it. But $18 for a Mick Golden Light, I mean, come on.
Here we go.
It's
You're back
a
on us
good
again.
beer, but
This
not
is
$18.
For a 3%er too, 3.2.
16
16
ounce.
ounce, right? Yeah.
Are they dummied down at Vikings games? Do they dummy it down? Is it
Don't
watered
they at,
down
like,
too?
golf courses too?
No. First of all, as a golf course representative here, aka a beer girl, no, we have cans of beer that we hand to you. So
All I'm saying is, before I die, is it that impossible to get just one affordable beer option at every stadium? I mean, even for a 12-ounce
Why
can,
would they?
I'll pay
You bought
$5.
it, but you bought it still.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
you'll
I only
still
bought
buy it.
one though. I was budget conscious last night.
No fun.
That's all I got.
You got to be a lower level snob in those situations, though, Ross.
That's true, right? You're sitting lower level. You gotta be.
And your ticket was free. And your ticket was free. And you're sitting here complaining. All right, I'm stopping. Let me chill.
My snobbery, Miles, was the Uber that I paid a ridiculous price to go about 3 miles in. That was the snobbery last
That'll
night.
also happen.
All right. Yeah.
That'll happen. Since we talked about Pop-Tarts, before I die, this is probably gonna blow people's minds. Before I die, I will have a toasted Pop-Tart. I don't even think it ever crossed my mind that you would toast a Pop-Tart until I was much older, like maybe high school age. And I was like, oh, like, is that weird? Is that weird?
That's what they're named after.
I know, but I just always grab and go them, Like,
Yeah,
just-
no, I get it, but like,
I don't-
you
I've
didn't even
never
know
had
the
one toasted.
original concept of what
no,
Pop-Tarts
it
are
never
for?
crossed my mind. I just did not ever think about it, right? Like, that's me being vulnerable and admitting my stupidity, but like, I had no clue.
That's great.
No
We've
clue.
We've talked about this before, Jesse. I think many Pop-Tarts, if not all, are just fine cold, but there is kind of a pecking order of which ones are better cold and which ones probably should go in the toaster. But yeah, Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, I've just never. It's literally. I'm putting toast in my toaster, maybe a toaster strudel, but Pop-Tarts.
You better put a toaster strudel. Those are frozen.
Of course, you have to. You have to put a toaster strudel.
Are you basically saying
I've
know
actually
to
given
put a
my kids Eggo.
I need to do a wellness check on Jesse. For
I think, Miles, did Jesse just kind of in a roundabout way admit she basically knows to put the toaster strudel in the toaster?
I do.
Because
I
it
learned.
says it in the name.
Yeah. But she didn't know Pop-Tarts were. Yep. All
They
right.
pop up in there. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Do you know what's a good one when you toast them though? Because I'm with you. I haven't eaten Pop-Tart in a while, but when you do toast them, throw a little butter on it, and let it melt.
It's aggressive.
It is.
lot.
Like I did this as a kid, right? Like when you're like when I could eat anything and everything, and it didn't matter.
true.
But yeah,
Brilliant. Oh, I
cinnamon
love it.
brown sugar is the best one. I don't care what anybody says.
Ew, God, you're old.
I don't care what anybody says.
You do eat it with your shredded wheat or grape nuts as well. Like, my God.
And then he follows it up with a Werther's original.
With the
Yeah.
Werther's original.
Well, that wraps up another lovely edition of Before I Die. Thanks everybody for checking us out. Shout out to all of our Purple Daily content, all of our friends over at Score North. We hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Vikes are back in action against the Seahawks this weekend. And be kind to one another. Let's remember that. Because, it's free to be kind. It's free to be mean too, but like it's free to be kind. Like you could be either way, but it's fine. Have a good one. Go Vikes.
What a night last night in Hennepin County.